In the early 1980s, something unusual appeared in a quiet rural area of Georgia, USA. The location was far from major cities, surrounded mostly by open land, trees, and silence. There were no big celebrations, no public announcement, and no widely known ceremony. Yet, a large granite monument was constructed there and slowly became one of the most mysterious structures in modern history. This monument later became known as Georgia Guidestones. From the beginning, it stood out because no one publicly admitted to building it. The project was connected to a person who used the name R.C. Christian, but the real identity behind that name was never confirmed. The secrecy immediately created curiosity. People wondered why someone would spend a large amount of money to build such a structure and then remain anonymous. The monument was made of massive stone slabs arranged in a precise design. It was not randomly placed. The builders clearly planned its size, alignment, and orientation carefully. Some parts were designed with astronomical alignment, meaning the stones were positioned in a way that connected with the sun's movement during the year. This detail made it seem more technical and intentional, almost like a scientific project rather than just a sculpture. What made the monument truly controversial were the inscriptions carved into the stones. The messages were written in multiple languages so that they could be understood by different cultures. The text included guidelines about humanity's future. Some lines discussed keeping population levels under control. Others talked about living in balance with nature, improving communication, guiding reproduction wisely, and using reason in decision-making. Because the wording was broad and not clearly explained, people interpreted the messages differently. Supporters believed the monument was meant as advice for humanity, especially in case of a global disaster. They thought it could serve as guidance for rebuilding society if something serious happened in the world. From this perspective, the monument represented survival planning and long-term thinking. However, critics felt uncomfortable with certain phrases, especially those about population limits. They believed such ideas could be misunderstood as controlling or restrictive. This difference in opinion created debates that lasted for decades. Some saw wisdom, while others saw danger. As the years passed, the monument slowly became more well-known. Tourists visited the site. Photographs were taken from different angles. News articles were written about it. Over time, the internet helped spread information and opinions even faster. Online discussions increased, and many theories began to appear. Some conspiracy theories suggested secret organizations were involved. Others claimed it was connected to global predictions or hidden agendas. However, there was no verified evidence confirming extreme claims. Much of the mystery came from the anonymous nature of the builders and the unusual messages engraved on the stones. The monument also became a symbol in debates about society, population growth, technology, and the future of humanity. Some people admired it as philosophical art, others viewed it as a controversial statement. Because it did not clearly explain its purpose, people filled in the gaps with their own ideas. For more than 40 years, the structure remained standing. Through storms, political changes, and cultural shifts, it stayed in place. Even when public opinions changed over time, the monument itself did not move. It became part of the landscape and part of history. At night, the monument looked especially dramatic. Under moonlight, the tall stone slabs cast long shadows across the empty field. There were no bright lights around it. The surrounding area was quiet. Wind moving across open land added to the atmosphere. In dark visuals, it looked like something from a mystery documentary. This setting made it popular in videos that focused on unexplained stories. Over time, the monument was sometimes vandalized. People painted over parts of it, expressing disagreement or protest. Despite this, it continued to stand. It survived for decades and remained one of the most discussed monuments in the United States. Then in July 2022, everything changed. An explosion damaged one of the stone slabs. The blast caused serious structural harm. Security cameras recorded the event and local authorities responded quickly. After assessing the damage and considering safety concerns, officials decided that the remaining structure should be removed. Soon after, the rest of the monument was taken down completely. After 42 years, it no longer stood in the field. What once attracted visitors and debates was reduced to debris and memories. The explosion made global headlines. Some people felt shocked. Others felt it marked the end of a controversial era. Without the monument, discussions shifted from physical presence to historical meaning. Now, people can only see photographs, videos, and written records to understand what it looked like. Even though the stones are gone, the mystery did not disappear. Questions remain about the real identity of the creators. The secrecy surrounding the project still raises curiosity. The true intention behind the inscriptions is still debated. There is no final public explanation that satisfies everyone. Some historians and researchers view the monument as a reflection of concerns about overpopulation and environmental balance during the late 20th century. During that time, global discussions about resources, sustainability, and future risks were increasing. From this perspective, the monument could be understood as a product of its era. Others believe its ambiguity allowed misunderstandings to grow. Because it did not clearly state one fixed meaning, people interpreted it in different ways. This openness made it powerful but also controversial. Today, the empty field where it once stood feels symbolic. It represents how ideas can influence people for decades. It shows how a simple structure can create global attention without revealing its full story. It also demonstrates how mystery can make something unforgettable. Whether someone sees it as a warning, a guide, a piece of art, or a misunderstood monument, it remains part of modern history. Its rise and destruction form a complete story, from anonymous construction in 1980 to explosion in 2022. The stones may no longer stand under the sky, but the conversations about them continue online, in documentaries, and in discussions around the world. In that way, the monument still exists, not in physical form, but in memory and debate. And maybe that is why it became so famous, not just because of where it stood, but because of the questions it left behind.